Skinner. All week I've been wanting to shout out the name Skinner.
What have I done?
Oh, it's you. Oh, you're back. Actually, I thought it was still Muriel. I never even looked. Actually, it's not you. No, I wasn't talking about you. I got this letter in the week from Jacqueline Skinner.
Oh, Jackie!
Old Jackie Skinner,
Yeah,
yes. And
right.
she wrote to say how much she liked that Connie Beckley thing that I'd played from the audio arts people when was doing the programme. That thing where it goes, bomb, bomb, and then there's some maths on it, you know, it's a sort of performance art people. Please. So I'll be writing back to you, Jacqueline Skinner. She's in a garage, or a garage, as she probably calls it, in Maidenhead, where she works every Tuesday night, and she listens and says, she listens and wants me to. She says, no relation to Richard, I don't think. So I know.
Maidenhead, eh?
Thank you, Skinner. Ah, well... Art. Same old thing. Well, is it art? It's difficult to say. I mean, you might as well say cartoons rather than art, because there's an exhibition I went to last week just around the corner from here, so you've got to be in the London area, an exhibition called Strip Language, and it's at the Gampel Gallery. People always say Gimples, because that's what it looks like, which sounds like something out of Dickens, you know. Hello, Mr. Gimples. I kind of think, oh, I'm very humble. Anyway, it's the Gampel Gallery in Davies Street, just off Oxford Street. Quite interesting, because it mixes artists who are inspired by strip cartoons and the cartoon style, who've got something to say which is in that manner, like Susan Hiller, who I've referred to before. She's got a series of like, little colouring pictures, all about, almost like the capitalist system, sort of little kids saying, hey, going shopping is fun, and that sort of thing, and sort of, Mummy encourages us to save too, putting money in the piggy banks. But they're all sort of coloured in and slightly fragmented, you know, as if the whole system's breaking up. I don't know what it is she's trying to say, but who can say? And then there's some of those Biff cartoons. You've seen those, haven't you? You keep getting
I've
them.
worn them, mate.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, have you? In what form?
Well, T-shirts.
Do they do Biff t-shirts?
Yes.
I'm sure you're right.
You've never been to Camden Lock.
Oh, exactly, that's the sort of area you find them in. They usually tend to be very ordinary-looking people at cocktail parties, done in the kind of 50s advertisement style. And the one they've got up there, some of the original artwork, and she is saying to him, I found your talk on irony and surface structure quite seminal. To which he replies, thanks, have a twiglet. But then they've got, like, contributions from the guy who did, perhaps the guys, I'm not sure, there's one particular guy I know who did those Shakespeare by cartoons for kids, like Macbeth in cartoon form, which is, that's the way we're going, everybody. And all sorts of contributors to Escape magazine, which I gather is a British cartoon magazine, and Raw, which I think is American, I'm not too sure. But anyway, they say I've neither the time here nor the knowledge to sort of analyse the strip cartoon as its significance today. But it does seem to be gaining importance in the feeling of our time. The Whitney Museum in New York recently did one with all those crazy cat cartoons, you know, from way back where these crazy cats were whizzing about, or crazy cat was whizzing about, I should say. And even the whole background would suddenly change, like Martian and that big city and so on. Really surrealist sort of things. And Dick Tracy and all those sort of American cartoon heroes. I see it, it's a little bit like punk, almost. It's a sort of do-it-yourself art. And I see it as a bit of a parallel with, like, the way the graffiti artists, the guys who did all the trains and all that sort of thing on with the cans, started to get sucked into the art world. What are you sniggering at?
Oh, just the way you see it. I love it. Go on, carry on.
All right, well, why not? Somebody's got to see it.
The way John sees it.
I turn up and see it. Anyway, no, but the way the graffiti art people, you know, one minute, hey, kids on the corner, you know, and they say, we've got our own form of art. Next minute, of course, you've got to be a bit careful, because the art world, you know, we sucks them in, you know, and Gampels or Gimples, so there they are. They've got an exhibition there, but I'm just a little bit worried, in the way that when I was at the Venice Biennale, Keith Haring, who did all those sort of Malcolm McLaren record covers and all that sort of thing, those big figures, there he is with all the artwork, sure. He's got his ghetto blaster. He's just spraying on the wall. Presumably they have to sell the walls afterwards and so on, but they know they gradually get pulled into the gallery system and become, you know, ghetto chic, and you've got to be a bit careful. All I'm saying is there's the exhibition. If you're interested in those sort of things, cartoon forms and art design work, very interesting, gives you an inspiration for a good think. TV stars of tomorrow. That's me. Actually, I might as well mention it, because as you know, Richard, I've been away this last couple of weekends. I didn't mention it the other week, but I thought, well, this week, yes, because on Saturday, it's most unfortunate, typical, my real big TV break, and because nobody's going to see it, because they'll be listening to you. Obviously, you and Andy Batten-Foster, they'll be listening to Saturday Live.
So when are you on, then?
Oh, I thought you never asked. BBC One, 6:10. It's tied up with Radio 1. It's called One on the Road, and it's BBC One, Radio 1. Peter Powell's doing it. There'll be, like, a Thompson twins. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, I believe. But the little film bits of me, I don't know whether it's what I'm about at all, but we'll see. I thought, no, I'll do it. No point complaining. In you go. They tell you what to do. I'm sort of Uncle Jolly Boys. You know, I'm it. Like, hello, somebody's got to get pushed in the water. Whoa! No, it's not quite as bad as that. But I had a weekend at Great Yarmouth, very nice, and then last weekend I was at Bournemouth. You tend to be sort of wacky characters, that sort of thing. Try with TV. You see, you've done a lot more TV than me. Don't you find there's always that kind of, everything's super? You know, they say, oh, super. Okay, look, upstairs loved it. Absolutely right. It was absolutely right. It's just that we're going to do it again differently. You think, oh. And then also, they seem to think they work on telepathy a lot more. They're such a big team, everybody must know what everybody else is thinking.
Oh, you think they all know what they're saying?
Well, they meet you at the station.
Yeah.
They sort of, hi, it's Fiona, and we're over here, kind of thing. Look, the Volvo's outside. Look, the rabbit costume, is that in the guard's van? I suppose that it's too big to bring on the... You think, hold on, the rabbit costume. Didn't they tell you? You know, you go, oh, actually, I'm not in a rabbit costume, but I'm in a lot of other things. But anyway, just have a view if you want to.
So you set the video for 6:10, and it records,
that's the best way,
until
yeah.
when?
Oh, it was about half an hour, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But after round table, you see, that's when I set off. I hope you noticed. I came round to the pub with
Yeah.
Nigel Plain and Neil from the Young Ones and Neil Arthur and your good self. I hope you noticed what I did. I walked straight in because I've got to go off and get a train, and all I did was buy one big round, right? Just I got one drink and bought everybody a dozen drinks.
Did we buy you a drink then, John?
Well, this is a well-known... You've probably not seen this done before. It's a well-known drinking ploy. It's rather like a wrestling hold. It's called the Reverse Batten-Foster. You see, the straightforward, the normal, natural Batten-Foster is you actually go in, everybody buys you a drink, and then you go away. But this is... The Reverse Batten-Foster. We must try it again, but not too often. So, what was even worse, though, when I get to the train, I'd only had the one drink, I got the train, it's got this great bag full of rabbit costumes, and I said, here we go, excuse me, here's a place, so sorry, whoops, mind your feet, and I whiz my bag up, you know, because I'm not quite in this condition I used to be. I used to be more accurate, you know. Sort of, I immediately break one of the light bulbs. Right, over everybody's head, all these commuters waited, they looked, who is this buffoon? I said, excuse me, and it's all over all the commuters. I'm brushing them down, and I'm terribly sorry. And then, of course, you don't want to sit in the seat because there's nothing to read by. Lights go. What can you do? Anyway, but during this wacky world spot, I finished up sort of... You're a South Coast man, I know that, and I finished up not in Poole Harbour, but near there, little inlets, and in the second week, I think you'll be able to see me on the television doing this. I'm buried up to the waist in that silt-like mud that comes in, and I had to go down and be filmed, of course, from the shore. You know, and you're out there about 40 yards out with fully clothed, you know, I mean, the ordinary clothes on, and it's... You've got to get out and then you let them go, because they had to come out to rescue me. It was like, oh, we show you how they rescue us.
Or going out on duck boards.
Well, exactly, well-known radio personality buried up to the waist. And there I am. You know, sort of, and you're out there on your own. It's quite restful, because, like, working for Radio 1, you're sort of, like, in the mire, as it were, but you know what I mean, but it's not very restful. There you're in the mud, and you're really restful. These little eyes start to come out of the mud all around you, because there's nobody else there. Sort of, hello, you know, little beep, eyes on stalks. I thought, come on, rescue me. And I thought, oh, wasn't that a hit for Fontella Bass, actually? But anyway, I can't explain to you what it's like, because as soon as I got out of this mire, and of course you walk to the... They say, come on, there you go, up the beach, take those trousers off. I say, wait a minute, sailor boys. So I'm going on. The weight of them is incredible, because all my love... So I'm doing all that. I don't know how to explain the consistency to a chap like you, because you're not so much of an outward bound man, are you? You're sort of disc jockey, business lunch sort of a man, really, aren't you? It was like a mixture of chocolate mousse and prawn cocktail that had been left out for a week. You know, so it was like dark brown, fishy, and a bit off.
Bit like the place where you went to lunch yesterday.
Yes, very similar. Woo! Secrets. Anyway, but that'll be in issue number 2 this weekend. If anybody is watching on their video after listening to Richard, I'm ballroom dancing and stock car racing, and I don't dance and I don't actually drive, so it should be quite good. Crabs! I only say crabs because while I was down there, I also got tied up with the Christchurch Ramshackle Antique Bicycle Society. And I went for a little ride with them in sort of Edwardian outfit, you know, the sort of thing one does on television. And I'd like to have had more time with them, but, you know, let's tell you, they whiz you in, shoot, out you go. They go gently around the area there on tricycles on a Sunday, you know, and stop at pubs and things, you know. I'd like to have done a Reverse Batten-Foster with them, but I didn't just get the time to do that. They won't have things like digital watches. Well, the chairman won't. He's against modern living, and he, you know, sort of young fogey is what he's really like. So we tricycle about, and he won't have all that sort of modern stuff. And I agree, because you know what it's got like at Radio 1, since everybody started to think modern? Those new computer phone things we've had put in, where, you know, I put in like Peel's number, you know, and you press a special sort of poot, 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 and it's supposed to dial Peel if you want to speak to him. But it takes the computer so long to say, what? And you have to go, I said, poot, 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 and the computer, sorry, man. Oh, it's Peel's house, isn't it? Hang on. And the computer starts to go. You can hear it going, sometimes it takes so long for Peel's phone. I'll put it down, go to the other phone, dial Peel. But I mean, so that I'm not very up to date on those sort of things, you know. But same as if you go to the theatre these days, everybody's got digital watches, and you sort of to be beep or not. too big. Some programmes say, please don't wear digital watches.
The bane of the proms, of course.
Exactly. I bet you're right. I hadn't thought of that. But anyway, so I felt some sympathy with the Crabs, and I'd like to have had a Sunday afternoon with those boys. So, hail to thee, Blythe Crabs. Fans. Also, while I'm out there, I'm outside some pub, obviously talking to, like, the local ale tester who's been dug out. And it turns out it's a 13th century process, and the bloke comes up on a horse and he's wearing a tricorn hat and silver buckles. Typically, it's called Dave. Isn't that always the case? You know? So anyway, as we'd finished that, I'm standing there, and a youth comes over. Excuse me, you're John Walters, aren't you, from... I said, I just pulled out my pen, really. So yes, as a matter of fact, I am John Walters, actually. And so, of course, you may think, perhaps the Peel Show... in the post-punk period has had he said, no, he said, you know DLT? I said, what? So I said, well, matter of fact, I do. So he said, would you give him my card? He said, I've just qualified as a Thatcher, and I saw DLT's house and knew it had Thatch on it, and could you get me a gig? I thought, pooh, no autographs. But who did finally get a lot of autographs, of course, as we said early on? Neil. Neil from the Young Ones. Neil also got a few, of course, but the kids were hanging about. Very popular chap, Nigel Planer. Most strange thing, I think it surprised him. But, I mean... as you know, we talked about it earlier when we knew that Neil was going to do a record. I said, well, if he's just going to come on and be, oh, hi, heavy, man, heavy. And you thought, really, that's too much of a bore. You know what Neil's going to say. Nice guy, I'm sure. And so on. I'm sure he is now. We've all met him. But he said, I don't want to be Neil. I want to be Nigel Planer. Is that all right? But I'll go into Neil occasionally and do it as myself. Oh, smashing. I thought that's going to be... But just when he turns up, Nigel is Neil. Don't say anything. You have to be very careful, because he might be listening. But he is, isn't he? I don't know whether you were in there. And I said, Nigel, stroke Neil, would you like coffee, tea, biscuits? He said, oh, just have a black tea. But it's very weak. I want a very... And my secretary said to him, wait, she'd like to put some milk in. No milk, man. No cow's products, kind of thing. There's this black tea, and just half. He said, could you put even cold water in it? You know? I said, well, we'll get some hot water, but why? Huh. He said, why? So it turned my teeth brown. And I thought, only Neil could have said that. And I thought, absolutely ridiculous. And what was worse, when we got outside, it was like Nigel, Neil, autograph time. Because everybody, you lot, had all sneaked off, waiting for me round the pub, going, come on, where is he? You know, if it's no good, if he doesn't come in half an hour, I'm going to have to buy a drink myself. You know, that kind of thing. So I'm out there with all these kids. I thought, I can't just go away, because they were really quite menacing. You know, they were loving him to death. They were pushing him into a corner. And I could see the Neil eyes sort of, oh, no, man, starting to roll about. Trouble is, it takes him twice as long to do autographs, because he writes, Nigel Planer. And then underneath, he very awful pretty goes, Neil. And over the eye, he puts a little flower head, like, hi, man, it's Neil. Which is rather nice for them. But, I mean, I had to eventually get him out. And, of course, as always, you go there, excuse me, I'm doing my... avuncular, you know, my uncle bit again. I'd push him out the way. Sorry, little girls, come on. And there was quite a large, middle-aged sort of a woman who was sort of, just a minute, can I sign one for my son? And I said, well, I said, he's been here a long time, and, you know, we have got to go away. He said, come along, you, and Nigel was like nodding, yeah, if I could get out now. So, come along, little girl. She said, just a minute, where are his fans? We put him at the top, you know. And I went, oh. So I grabbed her piece of paper. I said, what's his name? And got his name. And so when I get through to Nigel, he's sort of looking at me. Oh, safety. And I immediately had to give him a piece of paper and go, could you just put it's fault so-and-so, you see. But anyway, we finally did get him out. But the fans, they are getting outside Round Table, are getting a little bit more heavy themselves, aren't they? I mean, because of Andy Taylor from Duran the week before. And I hope you've noticed how our security at the BBC are really loving finding new ways of getting them out, like, I'll park my car around the back, we'll put him in a basket, that kind of thing, you know, and get him out wherever it is. They love it. I can't wait, you know, the next thing, I can see exactly what it's going to be. Because if we get Simon LeBon again, because that's their big challenge, and then they'll all turn up, hello, Simon LeBon, now just step into this mincer and I'll... there we go, get the old body inside like a good Durrani. This Tabasco might sting a little bit, but... yes, a bit of salt and pepper. Now I'll make him into a simple little LeBon burger, and then... Right, then I will take you past the fans outside internally. Where's he playing tomorrow night? Bristol? That's all right, I've got a day off. I could go down there. Of course, we might have to wait a while till he's able to go on stage. But so there it goes. Anyway, finally, while I'm talking to Nigel Stroke Neil, because he's got the Book of the Dead, this hippie stand-up, I said, it's amazing how you dug out all those things like Dr. Strangely Strange and Principal Edward's Magic Theatre. He said, yeah, I had to go out and find all these old records. He said, of course, some of them are quite good. And I said, well, yeah, some of them were. And we both agreed that early Incredible String Band, you know, was before it got too silly, was quite good. And I've picked out a track, especially for Nigel or Neil, Neil, who is just to console him because he's still number 2 in the charts today, isn't he? He didn't go to number 1. And it's called Way Back in the 1960s, which sums up, oh boy, you know, Neil's period, certainly. The strange thing, this track is a looking back by an old man to his youth in the 1960s, which we thought was satirical. Now we look back 20 years on, it's almost true, because it's, oh, way back in the 1960s, we made our own amusements then, we even went to the pictures, that kind of thing. Plenty of Radio 1 people are looking back then now. Anyway, here it is, incredible string band, way back in the 1960s.
They don't press them like that anymore, do they? That's the